Hello everybody, my name is Quil. Welcome to Quil's Corner. I am an art page, but today I'm going to share with you some of my grocery hacks. I'm going to tell you guys how I do my grocery shopping, and then I'm going to tell you guys some tips on how you can save money on food and save time during the week when you get busy, like when you're working. So first off, I want to tell you guys about my 5-step grocery shopping method. The first thing that I do before I go grocery shopping, and it may be like a day or two before I even go grocery shopping, I will make a cupboard inventory. So I go through and I clean out all my cupboards, I organize them, I figure out what I have, and then while I'm writing my grocery list, I figure out what kind of meals I want to make based on some of the foods that I already have. That's the first step. The second step is... Actually, that's step 1 and 2. I'm looking at my list right now. Step 1 is the cupboard inventory. Step 2 is the grocery list based on the meals that you want to make. All right, so on to step 3. I shop only off of my list. I don't do impulse shopping. Occasionally I will, but for a general rule, I don't buy things that are not on my list. I stick pretty strictly to the list that I bring to the store. Step 4 is when I get home, I put away my food and then I make a dinner meal plan and I keep it on the fridge. I only plan my dinners. I don't plan my breakfasts or my lunch, and I'll tell you why in a little bit later. Step 5 is cross off meals on your grocery list, or sorry, not grocery list, on your meal list that you leave on the fridge. Cross off the meals only after you've ran out of ingredients for that meal, because a lot of times you will have the ingredients to make that meal multiple times, and I'll tell you another tip about that too. So that's my 5 steps. I do my cupboard inventory, make my grocery list based on my meals. I only shop off my list. I put my food away and make a list of dinner meals. And then I only cross off the meals that I made on my list after I ran out of ingredients for them. That's my method that I use. So the tips that I have for you guys for saving money and saving time is, for myself, if you eat eggs, I buy the big eggs, the big carton of eggs that's like 5 dozen eggs. So that set of eggs will last me an entire month, and it's cheaper to buy them in bulk, and it's, I don't know if it's like the freshest, but my eggs never really go bad in the month. I don't know really how long eggs are supposed to last, but mine lasts me the whole month, sometimes a little bit longer. So that's a good hack because it's cheaper and because I can make a lot of meals out of it. The next one is when you get towards the end of your month and you are running out of foods and you're not quite ready to do another grocery shop because maybe you haven't gotten paid yet, you make fried rice. So this is something that maybe not everybody likes, but it's good for my family because all you have to do is you just use whatever rice, whatever vegetables you have on hand, add some eggs, and put some soy sauce on it, and that will last you, depending on how much you have, a good 2 or 3, even 4 days of meals. And you can eat that fried rice for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. It doesn't have to just be a dinner food. I also pre-cut my veggies and I meal prep in the freezer. So one thing that I notice with produce is that if you are buying every week your produce, it's because produce goes bad really fast and you're wasting money running out of this produce that you could just make last the entire month by putting it in the freezer. So I pre-cut my veggies into like little meal bags. So like for example, I cut up onion and I cut up bell peppers and I put them in the freezer and I use them to make fajitas. So I don't have to worry about my bell peppers going bad and I have a meal that I can have anytime in that month. The next thing that I do is like I said, I keep mentioning this month thing, I only buy food once a month as like a big shop. If it gets to the end of the month and I'm not ready to do next month's shopping, I only buy a couple little things just to tie me over until that next month's shop. So maybe I'll just need like some almond milk and some bread, and I can keep making meals from what I have at home. The next thing I do is I don't use cereal for breakfast. I notice this is something that a lot of people think, especially like in the United States, is that we have like specific breakfast foods that we have to eat for breakfast. So like pancakes, eggs and bacon, waffles, and cereal and oatmeal. So that's never really been something that I really cared to do, just because I know that cereal doesn't really fill you up. So I do buy cereal, but I only use it as like a snack or something to tie me over before a meal if I'm hungry, because it will tie me over for the time being, but it's not going to fill me up as if I was going to eat like a hearty meal as a breakfast in the morning. And there's a couple different things that you can do for breakfast. Sometimes I make like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for breakfast, or I'll have like a yogurt and some graham crackers. One other good breakfast is bolillos con frijoles. If you don't know what that is, it's like a bread roll and you just stuff it with beans. And you can do that with like beans and cheese or beans and rice. That's a really good meal to have in the morning. Also, eggs and rice or like sardines and rice. For my boyfriend, I make eggs and what is that called? Spam. Eggs and spam with his rice for breakfast. So those are really good because they have protein, and you can also like mix vegetables with them. Like sometimes I'll do eggs with like a tomato sauce and some cut up veggies, and then I'll just pour that over rice. That's really good for breakfast. And these things are cheap. Rice is cheap. If you put rice into any of your meals, you're stretching your food for a long time and you're saving money on it. I also try to eat as healthy as possible. So junk food is actually really expensive. If you're buying like chips and soda and top ramen, yeah, you might think, oh, it's only a couple of dollars, but it's really not going to last you that long, and it's unhealthy for you. It's not going to give you the nutrients that you need to feel full or feel healthy. You're just going to make yourself sick. And so I avoid that as much as possible, and I just try to eat healthy foods. Like I make sure I get my vegetables and my fruits and my proteins and my starches, just like all the food groups that you need to be healthy. I make sure I eat those. And I am a vegetarian, so this leads into my next tip. I've noticed that being a vegetarian is actually cheaper than eating meat. I'm not going to get into this whole big debate on which is healthier or which is better, because really everybody has their own personal views about it. But if you can figure out a way to cut out meat as much as possible, you're going to be saving money on food. My family does occasionally eat fish, and that's kind of like a splurge. We may eat fish like once or twice a week, but most of the foods that I eat are completely vegetarian, and that saves me a lot on food. I also have another tip about that. So like I said, every family, every person is going to be different, but when you are grocery shopping, know your family's eating habits. So don't buy something just because it's on sale. Don't buy it just because you think it's going to save you money. You have to really know what your family likes and what they're going to eat. Because if they don't eat it, you're wasting food and you're wasting your time, and it's just not going to be good. Some examples of that are, my boyfriend does not like cooked vegetables. So what I'll do is I'll pre-cut my veggies in like these little like Ziploc bags or like containers in the fridge. I have these containers that have like a large compartment and a small compartment with a lid, and I'll put veggies in one side and I'll put ranch in the other side, or like peanut butter or something, depending on what the vegetable is and what it tastes good with. And I'll just keep those in the freezer as meal preps, and they're a good supplement to your meals that you're making with your proteins and whatever else you're eating. And it's really good because I know that I'm saving money by not wasting food that people in my house are not going to eat. So that's a good tip for you. Just knowing the habits of your family. Another example is I will not buy like the bulk beans. It may sound like a money-saving tip because when you're buying the dry beans, it lasts a long time and it's cheap. But I just know for my particular habits, I'm not going to wait and soak all of those beans and then cook them all day and eat them all the time, because it's just too time consuming for me. So I'll just buy like 2 cans of black beans or like 2 cans of refried beans, and that'll last me the whole month because I'm not eating beans every day. If you eat beans every day and you're going to invest the time to make them, then that's definitely a good money-saving hack. But for my own personal self, I just know my habits, and I know that I'm going to be saving more by not wasting money on food that I'm too lazy to cook. Essentially, that's it. I'm just too lazy to cook like that. So really just know yourself, know the people in your family when you're going grocery shopping, so you buy what's going to get eaten and you're not going to be wasting any food. Another thing is buying foods, like ingredients, that you can make similar meals out of. So like, for example, okay, so I have a vegetarian Italian sausage. So I bought that, and I can make so many meals out of it. I can put it in my pasta salad. I can make spaghetti like crumbles to add, like as if like a beef substitute. Substitute. I can't speak English, guys. I'm sorry. Bear with me. I just can't speak English. But I'll put that in there. Also, let me check my list because I actually think I have more on my list of what I use that for. Oh, I put it on my pizza. So I actually made 8 personal pan pizzas, and I put them in my freezer. I just wrapped them in plastic wrap and then some tin foil, and I wrote on them like what was inside. So some of them are cheese. I made 4 cheese pizzas, and then I made 4 pizzas with that Italian sausage that I mentioned and some bell peppers. The bell peppers are also the same bell peppers that I used to cut up my fajitas and then make my fajita meals. So if you're gonna buy an ingredient, just try to make sure that you can make multiple meals out of it. That way you can stretch your food and things like that a little bit better. Also, buying things that don't expire. Everything essentially has an expiration date or best by date or whatever, have you not. But not every expiration date you really have to pay that much attention to, or even like you can just disregard completely. Like for non-dairy milk, we buy non-dairy milk because we are just lactose intolerant. It's not like for any particular reason other than that. But non-dairy milk, if you don't open it, it will last a long time outside of its expiration date, rather than cow's milk, which after the expiration date starts to get a little yucky. And so we buy almond milk, and we'll buy like 1 or 2 cartons, and that'll last us the entire month. And it really just depends on how often you're drinking milk, I guess. But that's a good money saver. Also, like cans, if you're buying canned food, most of the time, canned food can be eaten years after the expiration date. And I know that probably sounds gross to some people, but there's a chemical reaction that happens inside of a can when it goes bad that actually will make the can change shape. It'll expand, and you can see that. That is definitely a bad food. But if your can looks normal, you open it up and you don't see any discoloration, you don't smell any nasty smells, it's perfectly safe to eat after the expiration date. So stocking up on canned foods is a really good way to make your groceries last the entire month, so they're not going to waste, and so you always have something to eat on hand. Another thing that you don't really have to pay attention to expiration dates are on seasonings. I have seasonings that have lasted me since like 2016, and they're still going strong. The only thing you have to be careful about seasonings is sometimes they do what's called caking, where they just become like really clumpy and they don't come out of the container anymore. You can just like take a fork and scratch at them so that they break up and you can still use that seasoning. But for me, I just toss them because once it gets to that point, I'm just not interested anymore. But it really depends on... I'm sorry, my dog is barking. I don't even know if you can hear me. Daisy! Shh! Quiet! Sorry about that. Daisy! Okay, I'm back. So, yeah, just not worrying about expiration dates or buying things that you don't really... Oh my gosh! Daisy, calm down. Sorry. Okay, so... I'm sorry, guys. This is just my dog. Her name is Daisy. Do you want to see her? She barks a lot. Daisy, ven acá. Daisy. Say hi, Daisy. Say hi, baby girl. Can you see her? I don't know if you can see her. See, this is my Daisy girl. Hi, baby girl. So she is actually... Because my money saving tips and grocery saving tips. Because my next tip is saving your veggie scraps. So one thing that I noticed about Daisy is that she actually really loves celery. And one way that I've been able to save my veggies from having to throw them in the trash is I'll actually cut off the little like root part of the celery stalk, and I'll keep that in a plastic bag. And anytime she's in the kitchen and she's begging for food, I will just give her little slivers of this celery, and it's actually good for dogs as far as like keeping them from getting bad breath, which is an added bonus. So if you have an animal, you can definitely give them some of your scraps. I also have a freezer bag in my freezer. Obviously, where else would I put a freezer bag? But I have a freezer bag that I put little scraps, like I cut off the ends of onions, parsnips, carrots, garlic, anything that's like that, like different like vegetables and things like that. Whatever's left over, I keep them in the freezer bag, and then once it gets full, all you have to do is just boil them for a certain amount of time and add some seasoning, and you can make your own veggie broth. So that's one more item that you're not buying at the store, because you can just make it at home, and that's with something that you would otherwise just put in the trash. Another thing you can do is compost. You can compost your vegetable scraps. There's a lot of YouTube videos on different things you can do with vegetable scraps. I live in an apartment, so I haven't tried composting yet because it just doesn't seem like it would really work for apartment living. But if you have lived in an apartment and you have done composting, I would definitely love to hear about how you made that work in the comments below, because it's something I am super interested in doing if it's possible. So definitely let me know if you figured out that. Another tip I have is trying not to eat out very much. So I'm not going to tell you guys not to eat out. Everybody does it. Like, they get tired, they get hungry, they don't feel like cooking, they want to eat out, or maybe like you want to go hang out with friends and eat out. But if you do have to eat out, try to save the condiments, because it's really easy to just take like extra of something that you're not going to eat right then and there and use it for home foods. So a couple examples of that I have are, like, when I go to Taco Bell, I take home their mild sauce and I just stockpile it, and I actually put the mild sauce on my eggs, or if I make burritos, I put it on my burritos at home. Another thing that I do is I'll keep like the coffee creamers that I get at IHOP. Oftentimes when you get coffee at like a restaurant, like a sit-down restaurant, they'll give you like a little dish filled with coffee creamers. And like, I don't know about you, but personally I only put like 2 or 3 of those little plastic containers in my coffee at once, and then I have like 6 to 10 left over, so I just pocket them and use them at home. Another thing that I've done is at like different events, take home things at events. Like for my work, we do Pizza Monday every month, and there's always like those leftover garlic butter little containers that they have from Papa John's. I think it's Papa John's, don't quote me on that. But those extra little things I take home and I use them on my pizza at home, or like if I'm gonna make breadsticks or something like that, or Texas toast, anything like that. So definitely take scraps. Definitely take condiments from restaurants if you can. I also freeze my rice. So this is a huge saver. Some people don't like cooking rice because it can take upwards to like 20 to 30 minutes, and they just don't want to do that every night. So what I do is I make a big thing of rice in my, it's like a rice cooker, multi-purpose cooker thing. If you don't have one, you can just use a regular pot of boiling water to make your rice. But I put individual servings inside Ziploc bags and I freeze them. And a good tip for that is do it while it's hot, because then the moisture stays in and then your rice isn't going to be dry when you try to reheat it later. But I keep them in the fridge, and then for dinner time, if I'm going to have rice with my dinner, I just like kind of crunch it up a little bit, put it in the microwave, and then I add whatever other foods to my meal I'm going to make. And like I'll do it for breakfast, like I'll just take out a packet of rice, and then I'll like put eggs and whatever else on top for breakfast. And that really helps a lot, just having that convenience throughout the week where I don't have to be cooking all the time. I'll maybe like cook one day, and then the rest of the week I just have all these freezer meals. Another thing I wanted to talk about was buying store brands. So I buy store brands so much that I actually forgot what name brands are. Like, just at the top of my head, I can think of like Jif peanut butter. But other than that, I'm not even really sure what's considered a name brand. But I do shop at Walmart and I buy their store brand, and that saves me a significant amount of money. I think there was like it was like a 10-pound bag of rice for like $16, and I don't remember what the brand was, but the Great Value Walmart brand, the same 10-pound bag was only $4, which was really awesome. So buying store brands can save you a lot of money. Just, there's no sense in being picky when you're really getting the same food with a different package, honestly. Another thing that I do is I get my produce from Imperfect Produce, and I know not everybody has this service available to them in their area. I live in Washington State. Imperfect Produce delivers to my area, but there are other, there are other I don't know. I really don't know about other countries. But there are other states that have different programs, like different markets or whatever, that will give you produce in the mail. Imperfect Produce I really like because they take, Misfits. Misfits is another produce company that does the same thing as Imperfect Produce. They take produce that kind of like looks funny, like maybe it's just not shaped correctly, or there's just like an overabundance of it and grocery stores can't sell it, and they'll give it to your house for cheaper than you would normally buy in the grocery store. So that's how I get a lot of my produce, and I only get it twice a month or once a month depending on my needs for that month, and I pay $20 a box. So sometimes I'm paying $20 in produce a month, sometimes I'm paying $40 in produce a month, where I could be spending a lot more of that at the grocery store. There is another thing about that I like. So it has actually introduced me to foods that I would not normally eat. So for example, parsnips and chard. I've never really even heard of those foods until I started buying from this company, and it's gotten me more creative with what I can make with my meals for cheap, which is really nice. So if you can do a program like that, I would definitely recommend it. It's a subscription program. So like for me, if I don't want that box that month, I just click skip box on my customization page, and then I won't get food for that month. But I'm always subscribed, so when I do want to pay and I do want that food, it's always available to me. So if you don't have a way to get food like that, there's a lot of different ways you can get good produce, and even sometimes free produce. So at my college in particular, we have what's called a food pantry, and it's for any college student. You don't have to prove that you qualify for it, but you can get food from them once a week, and they actually have their own garden at the college that they harvest foods from, and you can pick it up for free and take it home, and it's great. Also, maybe there might be a food bank in your area, or maybe you can get cheaper foods because it's in season if you have a farmer's market. You can also get produce from community gardens. You might have to trade some services, you might have to help harvest or help plant seeds. I don't really know what the qualifications are for that, but you should be able to get involved in a community garden. And every city has different things available to them. So if you are not sure about anything that's available in your area, sorry, I'm stumbling on my words again, but I would definitely check online and see what you can find and take advantage of it. I think that's all the tips that I have for you guys today. If you have any of your own tips for saving money or saving time when it comes to grocery shopping, definitely tell me in the comments below, because I'm always interested in finding more ideas. I love cooking and I love saving money. Even when I have a little bit of extra cash, I still try to save money as much as possible because I just like it. I like knowing that I can stretch my dollar as much as possible and get really good quality healthy foods. So if you have any other suggestions, put them in the comments below. Like I said, I am an art page. If you do bullet journaling especially, definitely subscribe, because you will see a lot more videos coming from me about bullet journaling every month. I try to get them out on the 15th of the month so that it gives you enough time to plan your upcoming month, to plan your bullet journal. So let me know if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, and give me a comment in the comments below, comment section below. Thank you. And please excuse that I stumble on my words and I sound like a preppy white girl because I say etc. because I think these tips are actually really beneficial for a lot of people, whether you're in college, whether you get food stamps, whether you just have a big family. I think it's beneficial for everybody. So if you can get past my awkwardness, just share these tips with your friends and try to use them when you can, and hopefully you can be happy with your grocery budget like I am. All right, you guys have an awesome rest of your day. Thanks for watching.